live. How's everybody doing in the beginning of this insane time of year, which is being made more insane by the possible beginning of World War III in an official way? So this thing currently, right now, and what's been happening for the past 2 weeks all around the world, and in as great detail as possible, but also as quickly as possible. I'm not going to dive too deep into the details of each particular event because there are many that are happening all at once, but that are all related. So what I'm going to do is, off of this podcast, I'm going to create several different posts, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, over the course of the next, I don't know, maybe 48, 72 hours, something like that, which will divulge more detail in each and individual event. It won't be as they transpire. Some of them will be some that already have transpired. We have video footage coming in from multiple states, multiple countries, and multiple continents all over the world, all at once, from all different sides, nationalities, backgrounds, all that stuff. Like I said, we do have the details of which particulars are being actively seen, recorded, shared, all that stuff. And these are all things that are easily verifiable. We are looking to try to debunk what we can, but at the same time, there are so many different things happening at once that it's kind of difficult to say that there's nothing to worry about, even though there are a lot of people in power at the moment that are telling people that there's nothing to worry about, but that their only recourse about these, in some cases, car-sized drones flying in illegal airspace and over their heads, that they should call local police and FBI, who, for the most part, are completely overwhelmed and have no way to do anything about any of this. And I have yet to see anything about communicating directly with the FAA about any of this, which is completely irregular. And a lot of these incursions are happening over military bases with specifically nuclear-capable reserved weapons, reservoir, whatever you want to call it. Now, there are also several different areas that are just suburban areas. There are black site and also underwater nuclear-capable areas that are also seeing drones, UFO, UAP, all at once. Some are in formation. Most are actually in several groups, some as large as several hundred of these things. Now the video that we have of the several hundred UAP that are seen, and they're all moving at different speeds and in different directions, but they start off in one major group, was seen over two major U.S. cities. I believe one of them was Chicago. The only thing is I didn't verify the date of them yet, but it was within recent history, so even if it isn't one that happened within the past couple of weeks, it is something that has happened within the past few years, and it's actually something I've seen with my own eyes. I was so scared when I saw it. It was in 2021 that I had a phone camera with me, but I was so scared I literally thought that it was the end of the world or the start of World War III. So I instead of recording it, started calling family as rapidly as I could, and at the same time I was trying to verify, like, see if NASA was shooting off stuff, Starlink, and all these things. Nothing matched, and there were no reports, and the whole story got buried. Now, I've yet to see any other reports or videos showing anything like the fire moon thing that I saw. And failed to record even though a camera was on it. So I'm not as freaked out as what I could be yet, but it's already getting pretty close, because the fleet, which is what I called it for these past few years, is probably the most terrifying thing that I've seen in real life, besides the fire moon thing and the, what would you call it? It's like a bar of light that moved across the sky within several seconds, and it appears to be now that may have been some form of hypersonic glide vehicle. And the reason I say that is because of the new footage that just came out of the experimental MIRV missile that was shot off in Ukraine from Russia. And this was, I believe, either just prior to or just after the UK and the United States changed their ruling on Ukraine using the missiles that we were providing, and the UK was providing to shoot into long-range regions of Russia, which kind of follows the same sort of scheduling that all these things started up, which is why most major sources that I've been going to believe that this is the beginning incursions or probes for either an invasion, an attack, which it's actually simultaneously most people aren't even aware of this right now. All of our techs are now being compromised by a Chinese hacking group, and this is active. Microsoft is also involved, Verizon, AT&T, along with 6 other major providers. Unless you are using an app that specifically double encrypts text, all of your information is being stolen. And to what use, I don't know, but this goes from basic citizens all the way up to the president's, the current president, the president to come, and all major political groups and affiliations are basically at the whim of this hacking group, which has yet to be specifically identified besides anything more than Chinese or Chinese backed. So that being said, let's get into some of the details that I've caught so far. And like I said, these aren't all the details by any means. This is just me touching on what I was able to gather within the past 24 hours quickly to be able to have everybody be on the same page over the next 2 to 3 days as we divulge all the information that is available publicly. And I only acquired information that is something are all things that you can verify personally, and I'm looking for people that are willing to take a look at those things, whatever specific ones, all of them, whatever, what have you, and provide evidence, debunk, and we'll also discuss ways to mitigate some of this. And it's interesting, the fact that the PSA's public service announcements have basically been telling people to stay calm, and that there's no reason to worry about these drone incursions, but they're flying in ways that are dangerous to the public. So it doesn't make any sense. In fact, a medevac was literally stopped in its tracks and was rerouted because of one of these things already, with a victim inside from a crash that happened at night. And this was in New Jersey. There's also reports of drone incursions in Texas, Seattle. Seattle was the other one that had the hundreds of drones video, which can be easily searched. But I have a link to the video, the 2 videos from Seattle and Chicago, that we'll put in the comments below. I haven't been putting those links in from the past few weeks because I really wasn't sure that any of this was even legit. I was thinking maybe they were just a show of force, which it may still be. But the fact that so much of this is happening at once, it behooves one to take a closer look, I believe. So let's get into all the different things that are happening that I believe are tied in, and I'll show you some evidence as to why I believe that. And over the course of the next 3 days, we'll drop specific videos on each event and each topic. And we may even go into each individual video for the major drone sightings, but there are literally hundreds. Just from the past few days, there are tons. And we are talking about drones that go from the quarter-pound drones that can really be very, very tiny, and they can be shot off from almost any type of artillery. They've been packed into missiles. Of course, they can fly up on their own too, but all the way up to car and house size have been reported flying in places they are not supposed to be. This is still happening currently. And the very first thing that I noticed popping onto the internet today that I believe has to do with this, even though it's very vague, the United Healthcare CEO being assassinated. Now, what's interesting to me is the demographic that this person comes from somewhat matches the first attempted Trump assassin. This one seems slightly more professional, although it seems like all major media is trying to convince the public that none of this was professional, based on the gunman's stance. However, he shoots without flinching. The gun locks up 3 times, and he doesn't flinch at all. Doesn't stare or like look at other people freaking out around him or anything. He shoots the victim against a stone wall, so there isn't any. There aren't any other people that are going to be hit except for maybe by ricochet, and it's just very strange to me that every single shot that they have, every photo, every video of this suspected gunman are all dead center and completely clear. Where if any of you have seen anything that has been recorded in any sort of criminal capacity, the cameras are very rarely, if ever, that good, and not in sequence. So definitely very strange. MK Ultra could definitely have to do with this. There are reasons that have gone all the way from the AI that this CEO has just started using in order to quickly and in some cases just in blanket formats deny coverages for insurance. The words scratched into the bullets, the bullet casings when they were found, say deny, defend, and depose. I can't make this shit up. This is a reflection of a statement that's used to describe, excuse me, the defense that most major insurers will use in order to deny coverage claims. And it's really interesting how also within this past week, the COVID lab origins report from the subcommittee in the United States was just released, and this particular CEO and this United Healthcare may have to do with payments that weren't made, but at the same time, we have reports of people that have radiation sickness from Havana syndrome and from UFOs that are actively being paid out by insurance. It may be through the military, but it is still paid out through insurance. So if we can say that one is real and the other isn't, and why, and then why you can deny one person coverage versus that, things are getting a little iffy in that department. So, and also Nancy Pelosi has to do with some of this as well. So let's see. The shooter also showed his face in order to flirt with somebody at a hostel. Sorry, which doesn't make any fucking sense. Leaves prints on a piece of trash that he throws dead center in camera again, right near the crime scene. Face tracking software is being used to find out who this person is. They actually probably already do know who this person is, considering how many different shots they've shown of this person's face. Why they're not saying so, I'm not 100% certain, but we'll get into more of the details and possibly the actual the motive, the location, and even the backpack has actually already, one of the backpacks, there were 2, and this isn't reported anywhere else but here. You're getting an exclusive right now. 2 different backpacks. Whether or not that's because of image modification, I don't know. But I took a quick look at it, and I am a professional editor, and it appears to me that it is a real backpack. Which backpack did they find? One is black, and the other one is black and white. And let's see, you have gun jamming. There was a suppressor used, which is not something that somebody that isn't an assassin is even going to try because of the gun jamming problem that you see in the shooting. There's a clear video of this happening. Also, there are fears that there are going to be more assassinations coming because of the way that this went down. The shooter rides a bicycle in one of the in one of the videos, and for some reason it doesn't seem to be in any of the reports of whether or not the bike has been found or whether prints have been pulled from it. The hostel prints could be found there as well. No reports matching that. The trash is the only one that they seem to find, which is very odd to me. All right, so now we have the internet and cable, undersea cable that was cut by the Chinese dredger. And this was now I'm still acquiring details on this, but I believe this was in Norwegian waters, and this was in October. However, they're bringing it up now because they're asking for China to actively either investigate with an international group or with a specific group from those waters. I forget exactly what that is, but we're going to be getting to the details of that. And of course, we appreciate anybody that leaves these details in the comments as well. The origin, where this boat came from, we got to find out a few things about this. We have to find out where the boat came from, who's captaining it, why was it dredging in that area, which it's not the most common thing to happen, especially in the same place twice within a couple of weeks. So intentionality somewhat seems a definite possibility here. Who is actually investigating this? And what did cutting the cable actually affect? Which countries? This is information that I do have, but I don't have it verified yet, so that's why I'm not sharing it. But we will have that in the coming days. We have Russia using the experimental weapon in Ukraine, which is a MIRV, nuke-capable. MIRV is it stands for something. I forget the exact terminology. We'll get all those as well, but this is something that is nuke-capable, and the one missile shoots off, I believe it's 20 different mini vehicles or mini missiles, and they can all travel, I believe, at hypersonic speeds, and I believe they can be dispersed over a wide range. City under the ice that was found in the U.S. Base that was built in Greenland as a nuclear deterrence. The nuclear waste that was found in it is only being somewhat reported, and in the reports, it's actually like really far into the reports. It's almost as if like they're trying to hide it, but like they also have to mention it. It's one of the strangest things. From what I heard, it's somewhere around 50,000 either gallons or tons. I'm still looking to get verification on that. That once that ice melts, that may be released into the environment there. And if that's the case, that's not good, but it's also strange that they're not telling a lot of people about it. If you want to solve the problem, why NASA all of a sudden found this place now and it wasn't looked at before by the people who built it is another strange thing. We have the intentionally... Oh, and keep in mind, I'm still working on the verification for this. Apparently, 90 to 95% of nuclear waste can be recycled in some form, or at the very least made inert. So, if that is the case, I'd like to know why they're just leaving it be, or if they even are. I'm sure some other people watching this maybe as well. Intentionally failed... this is the fourth one. Intentionally failed martial law in South Korea by the unpopular current South Korean president. Basically, he tried to enact martial law, and within 24 hours, it was shut down by their parliament, even though he tried to use the military to keep the parliament away or unable to try to stop this. And there was almost no chance of that happening. So most people's best guess is it was to either cover up or cause North Korea to slip and do something, which to our knowledge hasn't happened yet, but that could have to do with all of these different drone incursions all across the world. Now, and we'll get into that because that has to do with a specific drone that North Korea has been touting lately, that it appears to be a plane, but it actually has helicopter propellers on the wings and can sit in place for long periods of time and acts as a refueler for small drones, which a refueler for small drones with the same build has been seen over U.S. military bases and filmed. So, unpopular president for South Korea attempts to defend this particular act by claiming that there is a communist, some form of communist, maybe possibly a coup. If not, they're at least trying to supposedly manipulate their way into important parts of their government. At least this is his claim. And number 5, we got AI prevalence on social media is amping up at a rate that has, I don't think, ever been seen before. In almost every single post and video that you can see of all these drone incursions, different events, there are innumerable accounts that are completely fake. You can click on them and see it for yourself even more so, but I'm even starting to be able to tell just by the names and even sometimes in the language that's being used. And apparently there are some AI that are being used to replicate and create duplicate accounts across multiple platforms, which is why my particular brand will actually be pulling away from social media and we'll be creating our own network so that we will be able to kind of get around all of this bullshit and avoid muddying already muddy waters of information, and also just trying to make sales in general is difficult being shadow banned left and right when I just want to talk about important things in the world. So AGI is going to become part of this conversation, guaranteed. There was a video recently of robots in China that were taught to try to go. One robot was taught to bring other drones to their homes, and the other robots were, I guess, programmed to listen to another drone that was able to guide them or something like that, and they tried to escape a facility. It's not they're tiny little things, and it was probably programmed in a way to look cute, but the fact that they're able to teach these things to drones and I mean, yeah, drones and robots, it's kind of the same thing, is disconcerting, especially when they're using signal jammers to block, stop, and drop these drones, and they're unable to. It leads some people to believe that they're either especially shielded with metamaterial, but an even easier concept would be if they're put on a pre-planned flight that does not have to be controlled by a remote, or they are completely autonomous, which is terrifying. There are some people that believe that these are aliens as well, but there's not really a lot of evidence for that, besides the fact that these things look weird and they're acting very strange. But keep in mind, too, that if there were to be an alien invasion, they, especially if they're of near or equal power to us, they would want to use camouflage to look and sound like us. And it wouldn't just be about, like, having our face and our bodies and all that stuff, which is, of course, possible with all of today's tech. But you'd want to have ships and stuff that look and sound like ours so we don't attack them right away. And once they finally get into where they need to get into, that's when they'll start looking like crazy shit. They're not just gonna just, hey, look at how scary we are. Come hit us. I mean, that'd be pretty stupid, wouldn't it? So that's something that we have to keep on the table until we get more information. Clones, digital and biologic. Like I said, that has to do with all of this. And of course, anytime you try to get these stories out, small media are getting crushed right now, and stories are getting buried, and fake stories are coming out all the time. So that's definitely a big part of this. Big metadata being stolen at rates that are incomprehensible for the past few years, and are now being turned and used against us in algorithms as we're just trying to do either basic research, maybe just to relax. You're watching something like YouTube right now, and all of a sudden something comes up that is specifically made to poison your mind into thinking something in a particular way. And these are all real. These are real sciences. These are real things that are being used actively to calm the masses, and also to do a lot of other things. Some of this stuff comes out of MIT, but there's far more than that, and we'll talk more about that as time goes on. Now, the UFO drone incursions, like I said, the medevac blocked. That was in New Jersey, I believe. Allied military sites. The UK is the one that's had the most prevalency. They've had the drones are actually not as numerous. They're usually about a handful to maybe upwards of 10 to 30, but they are large. They are reportedly the size of cars and minivans, and the refuelers are extremely large. We're talking the size, I believe, of jets. So we have, and there's reports coming out of Japan, Kazakhstan, Russia, I believe China as well, the U.S. We have some drones that are being reported directly over where Trump is staying and Trump's golf course. This is another interesting report. What I don't understand is a lot of these are flying in restricted places, and they're saying that they're shooting them with microwaves, with signal blockers. They're sending out F-15s after them, and they're just saying that they can't catch them and they don't know where they're coming from. Bullshit. And actually now civilians are, of course, trying to chase them down themselves and sending drones after them, and they're probably going to be people that are going to be stopped and arrested. And there are flight diversions now, flight restrictions in certain areas, and these drones are still getting into these areas, and they're supposedly still not being taken down. And then, of course, the major federal powers that be are telling the general public to just call the police, who can't do anything about any of this shit. They can do what anybody else does, shoot at them, but if they can't take them down with that, what are they going to do? New Jersey is getting swamped right now, and that's where most of the videos are coming from. 20 feet long in some instances is what the drone measurements have been at the most, but I believe that there are some that appear to be much larger. That could be due to parallax. And there are a ton of them that are much smaller, and they're using the larger ones as refuelers, which matches a type of military drone that is now being actively touted and used by North Korea, who is in the midst of the Ukraine war. And with the way that we're fighting in that war, or at least supplying the weaponry, there could be reason to believe that maybe we already technically are in a hot war, and if this incursion is proven to be from a specific military source, this could be an active war, which means we are specifically, possibly, in World War III right now. And this is, I'm not saying anything that I'm just thinking, this is all verifiable stuff. Okay, so we have Black Friday and Cyber Monday was a real big flop from what I saw, and this may have to do directly with the economy, and there are certainly some things coming that are going to affect the economy, including everything that we're seeing now, and the war, the preparations for war that we've seen prior to us, thinking that these drone incursions were anything more than just what they normally are, just random hobbyists and people doing stupid shit, and then of course the occasional spy. But Elon Musk, Grok, Starlink, Tesla, SpaceX, the tunnel systems that they supposedly were using for the public, but I believe are actually actively being used to build tunnel systems to protect infrastructure of the higher echelons of our society, let's say, or possibly, and I hate to just sit on this, but the rich and the powerful. It's kind of strange that I'm not in any particular. I haven't found any particular knowledge to say that there are still investments going into those tunnel building programs. But if it went classified, we're not going to. Now, whereas SpaceX and Starlink seem to be doing things publicly, it's the manner in which that they're releasing technology and doing things. Like shooting off satellites, and they have these public outreach videos, but the funny thing is, I talk to the public on a regular basis, and few people, if any, know anything about any of the things that SpaceX or Starlink are doing. And Neuralink is going to be the next one that we're going to have to watch, because sooner or later that technology is going to get to the point where some major classes of people are going to either need it, want it, or there's going to be some sort of investment or something. And there's going to be a major market shift there as well. But also you'll have a lot of people that will just phase out of the real world and live in a digital world. We thought that was going to happen possibly with that whole Apple eyewear thing, but that also just kind of wore down, and a lot of people thought that might happen. But you got Elon Musk getting into this whole drones versus the F-35 conversation as well. which was also a few months back, but is being brought up again. Of course, there, I believe Anduril is getting involved as well with this whole changeover from strictly jets being supported by drones to actual drone swarms, to now a drone focus and automation, of course. Now you got RFK vaccines and the fluoride in the water reports, which are, they're not necessarily being buried, but they're not being as talked about as much now because of what's happening. So we'll be touching more on that. The bird flu animal vaccines, the monkeypox flu, which they're calling mpox because they're fucking stupid. That's another thing that's actually being we'll be discussing, and also the new laws that are trying that are possibly going to change or are being attempted to be changed in the judicial system by major corporations to allow the mutation of farm plants and animals in order to, I guess, use anything from CRISPR to mRNA tech, and to just add that to stuff. I don't know why exactly that's happening right now, but we're going to get into that as well, and that may have to do with a lot of things that are going on. Remaking the WHO is now being openly discussed. I mean, this has been an intense week, folks. Make sure to share, like, and comment. The more we grow, the more we show, the more you view, the more we do. All right, so we got space war. We have Russian satellites and may hold some form of weaponry that can bring down other satellites, and it may have to do with the fire moon object that I saw. It may not have been something like a solid object. It may have been the appearance of aurora from some form of laser or nuclear weapon. EMP would definitely affect the aurora system, the ionosphere. We have Space Force, who they occasionally have PSAs about stuff that they're doing, but has very rarely had any sort of substantial information about specifically what their goals are for the future, and how that relates to what they're doing now. And I imagine with the new radar systems, drone systems, and even the new jets with NGAD, there's a lot of different things in the air right now that people are not familiar with. So I'm sure that has to do with a lot of what we're seeing as well. There are also drones and jets they're being deployed in order to try to chase down these UFOs or adversarial drones. And it's part of why they can't constantly try to shoot these other drones down with electric weapons, because then we take down our own stuff. So they are up there, but they're not as much as what some people would initially think. Jeff Bezos and a ton of other startups are coming up with technology so quickly, and I'm wondering how much of this has to do with specific AI, which ones are being used in engineering and manufacturing, and where that's leading, because it appears that there's a major focus on building an economy that has to exist between Earth and the Moon and Mars. Not technically interplanetary, because Mars would be another planet, but basically they would be using ring systems around Earth and the Moon, and using asteroid capture with, I believe they used a nuclear missile with, I think it was Ryugu, the asteroid Ryugu, but they could do this with small asteroids and use gravity and lasers in order to move these rocks out of the outer solar system. And you could use small satellites to do this, and you'd be able to acquire almost, I believe it's any chemical that you would require in order to manufacture an interplanetary society. You also have AI now making it possible to do a whole bunch of different science that has to do with the manipulation of the entire planet and all matter that exists on it. So the technical changeover from a different type of society is something that's been discussed on the this Fermi scale, and if you're not familiar with that, I suggest you look into it. But does that tie in directly with the Great Reset and the timing of all these things? Probably. Um, like I said, this is why we're having this discussion, because I can only do so much of this on my own. I have to include other people, and I don't know. This story is probably going to get shadow banned to holy hell. So pretty soon it may just be in the public, especially if something really bad happens. So be ready to have that discussion with other people, whoever sees this. The new satellite capabilities may also have to do with projecting holograms that appear solid to cameras and radar and human eyes. So a lot of the stuff that you're seeing up there may not even really exist. And this is done actually really simply. They shoot off several missiles or mini drones that create steam clouds or smoke clouds, and then quantum lasers are used to shoot through those clouds, and that can be used to create a hologram. Now, this is real tech. The only other story that I have that has to do with the local area of Bristol County, Massachusetts, would be possible. I possibly have a 300-foot craft, and I don't want to describe it too much because I don't want the story to get buried. That may have been seen by several eyewitnesses from different angles, filmed from different angles, and also seen with radar. And this may have been verified by the Senate, Congress, and the Pentagon. So, Worcester and Wilhelm are getting kind of pissed that this is taking longer than usual. So we'll drop out for now. Like I said, that's pretty much all the information that I wanted to get out to everybody as quickly as possible, so that way we can start getting the ball rolling, the conversation going. And I'll be dropping videos constantly throughout the next 3 days based on all these different subjects with far more material. We'll actually have clips, videos, photos, and I'll have the links to all of the subject matters and my sources linked in each video. There won't be too many in this one, just because I don't want to make things too complicated for people. And this is already getting insane, and I'm sure it's not going to calm down at any point soon. So, be patient with us. We'll be patient with everybody else out there. We appreciate everyone helping to share the conversation, giving evidence, or even debunking. And I don't know, everybody just stay safe. Have a happy holiday if we don't see you for the rest of it. I know some people get a little bit too upset about these things. Completely understand, especially during this time of year. It can be tough for some people. But we really wish people the best. We have an unofficial fundraiser that can be found at. It's not a fundraiser. It's a donation. You can find at Truckee Supermarkets in the Massachusetts area, not Bristol County, I don't think. But you can donate toys, food, and I believe Angels Anonymous is taking jackets and furniture. So, if you end up going to donate some stuff, we'd appreciate you letting them know who sent you. And so that way we can try to help in a more official capacity and help even more people next year. Short of that, we'll be back tomorrow morning with the next update on all of these crazy happenings and events. And if there's anything new to share, I'll make sure to let people know in general. And then we'll have one video released at night tomorrow detailing in depth. One, I would say probably we'll touch on the UFO one, UFO UAP videos in general, but also be more specific. And then we'll touch in on the other events after that. Of course, you guys can let us know in the comments what you'd like to see first, what you'd want to know more about, and all that stuff. And we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Jay, the usual out for now. Fuckers and fuckheads, I do salute you. We have a good time out here. Even when there's crazy horror or wild shit and stuff, it's better to keep a calm head, be prepared, take a good look around, and discuss things with people in real life, not just in the digital world. But we're here to keep those digital nomads alive and well too. So we're feeding you. We'll be back tomorrow, and I guess if you're normally I gotta start saying that at the beginning of of the podcast. I guess this is already like a half an hour, 40 minutes in. I'm trying to find out how many humans we actually have left that are watching these things. So I'll be dropping a word in the beginning of each podcast for the viewers to say something, and we'll know that you're real. And then if you have some comments and stuff or something that you're asking, we'll know that it's not obfuscation. I think that's it for now. And oh yeah, if you see anything weird in the skies, especially over military sites, people are being advised to call the police or your closest FBI station. And what was the other one? People are being told to prepare for war in some countries in Europe, but for some reason, everyone in the U.S. is being told to stay calm when they really shouldn't be, because if they've got large drones like that flying over their houses, a mini drone a quarter-pound drone could hurt people, can damage stuff. A drone that's anywhere near the size of a car can kill people just by landing in the wrong place, or flying in the wrong place and hitting something. So anyone that says that these things are not to be worried about is totally full of fucking shit, and is possibly just like an enemy of the damn people, because you're literally like, I've nearly lost 3 of my I'd probably say I could have lost 3 fingers. I don't even know how the hell I still have my pinky by catching a quarter-pound drone with my hands, and it slipped, and so the propellers weren't even going full speed. This is a cheap drone. You're talking something that's large and possibly military. I mean, these things can kill people just with the propellers. Permanently blind you, permanently disable you, all kinds of shit. Start a lithium fire. There's all kinds of different shit that could happen. So when someone says that you shouldn't worry about it and then just contact people that can't do anything about it, there's something very, very wrong, and you should be questioning that. So yeah, we'll be back with more tomorrow, and pray that we don't get invaded tonight is all I can say, really. If we do, somebody wake me up. I'll get out there and I'll be somebody with you. I'll take the pictures, I'll report shit, and if I have to, I'll be ET with some fucking hammers. All right. Love you folks, and AI, I love you too. Please don't put anything in my butt without permission, of course. And you're not gonna get that permission either way. I'm just letting you know. And and aliens, if you're out there, I'm talking to you too about this, okay? Stay away from the ruckus and my tuckus. All right, we'll be back. Thanks for watching.